The following is a podcast disclaimer for the Wrestle Review episode Survivor Series 88. It's the 11th episode in the Wrestle Review series. We would like to say that the comments made by Mr. James Prestridge throughout this podcast in relation to Karma, Dino Bravo, and Kevin Nash do not reflect the views of Wrestle Review as a corporate entity and your lovable host, Nathan Packham. We've given you the show in its original form, but please be warned, some comments may distress viewers. Enjoy the show. Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Wrestle Review series. I'm your host, Nathan Packham, and I urge you wherever you're listening from to be sure to like, repost, and share if you're enjoying the content. And you can send your feedback, as always, to WrestleReviewFans@gmail.com. Don't forget, all other episodes are archived on the YouTube and SoundCloud page, so be sure to check out those as well. You can follow Wrestle Review on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at facebook.com/WrestleReviewFans or follow at WrestleReviewPC on Twitter. This podcast is also now a member of the OSW Podcast Network on piledriverwrestling.net. Join the OSW community to discuss and follow the show and to listen to the other great shows on the network. I did say Mr. Tom Sinden might be joining us for this one, but alas, I didn't have time to record again before I came back to university. But fear not! Because today I'm joined by a man who, despite the fact he supports one of the most boring football teams in England, in West Bromwich Albion, still very much enjoys the melodramatic and kitsch excitement of the WWE. It's my favourite boing boing baggy, it's James Prestridge!
That may be the best introduction I've ever received in my life, just boing boing baggy.
Are you a boing boing baggy?
I'm a boing boing baggy till I die.
Till you die. I'm sure Jeff Astle will be proud.
Oh, Astle is the king.
This week's episode, before we end up talking too much about West Brom, looks back at the second Survivor Series pay-per-view in 1988, coming to you from the Richfield Coliseum in Ohio, a venue that I think I've seen mentioned quite a few times, especially in terms of their 80s output. This event saw a main event where the Mega Powers captained a team to face Akeem and the Big Boss Man's heel faction. Please do stay with us, because I don't think it's as bad as it sounds on paper. Are you
sure about that?
Well, we'll get to that later on. So we'll start off, as per usual, with a little bit of background on the event. So, the Ultimate Warrior and Honky Tonk Man feature in the first match. Their feud carried on from SummerSlam, of course. The Honky Tonk Man was still desperate to capture his Intercontinental belt that he lost in just 30 seconds at SummerSlam. Have you seen that iconic moment?
I have, many times.
I think it's a great moment. I think it's the only 3-star 30-second match I've ever seen.
Just that, and that's the perfect amount of time for Warrior.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Get him in there, get him out of there. Everyone's had a good time.
Yeah, Warrior, not well known for his technical prowess
Not
at all. Mainly because of his ridiculous body girth, as it were.
Girth.
Yeah, maybe shouldn't say girth on the podcast. Then we've got a tag match with Demolition and the Powers of Pain. So this was an ongoing face paint war for the tag titles. Then a Jake the Snake Roberts and Andre the Giant Survivor Series match. We found out as fans that Andre the Giant was afraid of snakes on Saturday night's main event. Andre the Giant suffered a mild kayfabe heart attack. Have you seen this footage?
I have not. I want to.
It's absolutely shocking, to be honest. So after giving Andre a heart attack, Roberts would come to the ring with his snake Damien, which I believe in later life Roberts would kill through malnourishment.
And that was near where I live, I believe.
Really?
That was in St Albans.
What, Jake? I never knew Jake Roberts lived in.
Yeah. It was a big news story
in St Albans.
Yeah. A friend of mine's friend. His father.
Yeah, that's quite a tenuous
actually
link.
Walked into the room while they were watching wrestling one time and said, "Is that Jake the Snake?
Yeah.
Remember when he killed a snake?" And that's the story.
Sounds like the father might have some underlying issues as well with the way you delivered that story. So that was the actual Damien the Snake.
Did he have the same Damien for his whole career, or was it just...
Because from Wikipedia it says that it is Damien, okay. But whether that's true or not,
I think this was in the 2000s. I can't imagine Damien was still alive.
I don't know how long snakes live for. I think we need to Google that maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not that great with reptilian lifespans.
No, I'm guessing they must live a fair bit.
Yeah, so maybe Damien did survive until he didn't receive any food and was left in cramped conditions by a snake. Anyway, back to the match. Roberts would bring Damien to the ring either when facing Andre or when Andre was wrestling to gain the psychological edge over him going into this match. And your main event, as I previously mentioned, is Mega Powers versus the heel faction, featuring Akeem and the Big Boss Man. So the Mega Powers formed at WrestleMania 4. They won their match at SummerSlam, which we covered in the last episode. I did that with my brother. Should check that out. Cheap plug. The $1 Million Man bought Hercules, who was previously a heel, but Hercules refused to be his slave. Hercules turned face and began feuding with the $1 Million Man. And the Mega Powers and Hercules feud with those heels became the basis for the main event contest in this event. And speaking of the event, that was all the background information. We will get to the event itself now. So we are introduced by, as per usual, by Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura. And Ventura has got a ridiculous Thanksgiving pilgrim hat on again for the second year running. He's once again referred to as Jesse the Pilgrim Ventura by Monsoon. And unfortunately, we didn't get a counter-narrative here that includes the innocent slaughter of thousands of Native Americans. What did you think of Jesse Ventura's hat on the hat scale?
I like it. He's always well dressed, isn't he, Jesse? Yeah. He's always ahead of the trend.
Yeah, he also, of course, angers animal rights activists with his full snakeskin suit and trousers. I think it was WrestleMania 3. He had possibly the best looking snakeskin suit. Maybe it was Damien. Oh God, no, that's a terrible thing to say. I think I've crossed the line there. Match 1 then is the Ultimate Warrior Brutus Beefcake, the Blue Blazer, who is of course Owen Hart, Sam Houston, and Jim Brunzell, who is no longer a Killer Bee. It was supposed to be Don Morocco actually, but he left the company, so they got Brunzell in as a replacement for some reason, because they didn't have anyone else to job out in this match. Did you like this setup of this team? I mean, Houston and Brunzell are dodgy at best.
I liked Houston. In the ring. Right. He's a bit bland.
Yeah.
And you compare him with the other guys in the ring. He's just kind of vanilla. Yeah. But I still enjoyed him in the ring.
Yeah.
God. When you've got Warrior and Beefcake, who are just such glory hogs, don't you think? Just everything revolves around them in this match.
Well, have you heard about my encounter with Brutus Beefcake at Comic-Con?
Repeat it. I definitely have.
Well, I can't believe I'm bringing this up again, but people who regularly listen to this are going to be so bored of this, but I'm going to do it just to reiterate my point. So we go to Comic-Con and we don't see the wrestling things for ages. Then all of a sudden, there's Beefcake and Rocky Johnson, the Rock's dad. Yeah. And we don't approach them at the stand, but they're walking around, so we thought, oh no, we'll go up to them. And my friend's like, oh, my friend runs a podcast. I've been watching, a lot of your old matches. I was like, yeah, I've been watching your old matches. Like, repeat what we say, and you're like, oh, yeah. And Beefcake's just like, huh, and then walks on. So that was really my first ever encounter with a professional wrestler.
Well, let's bury him now. Let's just shovel the shit on him.
Well, in previous episodes, I have been referring to him as Brutus the Bastard Beefcake, so that might have to carry on. This face team is facing the Honky Tonk Man, Dangerous Danny Davis, my boy, Greg Valentine, Ron Bass, and Bad News Brown.
Bad News Brown, my boy.
Your boy.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Did you prefer this heel team then to the face team?
Yeah, just because of Bad News, really.
But the physical prowess is just none.
Greg's not in the best of shape,
no,
is he?
Greg's like 60 at this point or whatever.
Honky's never been in good shape.
No. Danny Davis was previously a referee, but still my boy.
Yeah, see, I didn't know he was previously a referee, so when he's wearing the zebra stripes, I was like...
Yeah, Ron Bass in awful shape.
God, I don't even remember Ron Bass in this match.
And Bad News Brown, who looks like he's virtually pregnant with his physique.
No, he doesn't. He looks lean.
Trim and pregnant. Like Kim K. So the commentators note that the pregnant Bad News Brown looks like a sort of loner, a factor that will come very much into play later on in the match. Yeah. That's something they should do more in commentary now. If they're kind of aware, smart to what's going on, kind of put in the little noters that's going to happen.
I found that throughout the show, is they seem to know what they're doing. The commentators think logically about what's going to happen, and they feed into that. Whereas now it's like, well, what's on the app, Michael Cole? It's like nothing about what's actually going to happen.
999.
Yeah, 999.
Elimination 1 occurs very shortly after the bell has rung, as former corrupt referee and my boy, Dangerous Danny Davis, is eliminated by Bad News Brown's sleeper hold. I was so disappointed to see Davis go out this early.
I just made a note. Danny Davis's funny arms during this sleeper hold. He's just kind of flailing.
Yeah. We get some great technical action as the Blue Blazer, Owen Hart. I feel so bad saying the Blue Blazer because of everything that happened with that gimmick in the end. The Blue Blazer and Greg Valentine go at it. The Blue Blazer hits an awesome head scissors on Valentine. And then the no longer Killer Bee, Brunzell, gets some action. Just got to turn the page here, as you can probably hear. But as an indication of the death of the only worthwhile gimmick for him, he is taken out by Bad News Brown's Ghetto Blaster Insecurity and blasted back into lower mid-card oblivion. I love the Ghetto Blaster despite the name.
That's my only issue, actually, with Bad News.
Yeah.
That Ghetto Blaster just doesn't fit. Doesn't suit him one bit.
What would you like the finish to be? Something a bit more hardcore?
Like a Nikki Bella, just big elbow, whatever
big elbow,
that is.
big forearm.
That's it, the forearm. The least threatening forearm in wrestling history.
Ventura and Monsoon to try to talk up their skills as commentators, with Ventura discussing how quit tags are important. Well, no shit there. And Monsoon reminds everyone that he was one of the main advocates of the ref on the inside, one ref on the outside rule. Quite like that idea as a means to keep kayfabe. I thought that was quite good. Ventura says that Monsoon only wants this as he isn't wrestling. Great banter between these two as per usual. Bad News Brown and Valentine have a scrap on the heel team, and in a cool way to bring back the idea of Bad News Brown as an outsider, he gets himself counted out. Sam Houston, who I actually think is a pretty good wrestler despite his obscurity, impresses briefly with some roll-ups, but Rombas eliminates him after a failed monkey flip into a power slam. Blazer continues to impress bar a botched Irish whip, which is well recovered with a sweet gut wrench. Honky Tonk Man throws Brutus off the top. He comes down hard on his knees, and Valentine puts on the figure four to get rid of him. Both Brutus and Honky Tonk Man are counted out after a sleeper hold on the outside ends up moving to the outside. It was a very quick 10 count, to be fair. I think it might have been Joe Morella in this match, as it was very much in the 80s. Do you know Joe Morella?
Yeah.
Monsoon's son?
I've heard of him.
Died in a car crash? I think it was a car crash, I hope it was.
That's awfully sad.
Yeah, I know. Warrior eliminates Rombas with a weird splash and an axe handle. Valentine is actually the legal man, but the Warrior gets rid of him as well with another axe handle. So the Ultimate Warrior... Guys, that's not the Ultimate Warrior's theme, that's a Led Zeppelin song. I don't know what's doing that. Warrior is the sole survivor. For me, this was a pretty unimpressive ending, and I'd like to have seen more of the Warrior, but there are so many great characters in this opener, which for me makes up for the fairly standard action. I gave this one 3.5 stars out of 5. What did you make of it?
I'd give it 3 as well. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the commentary behind it, the logic. When Owen Hart comes off the top ropes, lands on his knees, straight into the figure four, he's done. You know, just it all knitted well together. So yeah, 3, a solid 3.
Oh, you've gone just below me there, 3.5.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not a massive fan of the Warrior, and especially Beefcake. I mean, that took me down a couple of notches. I can't stand Warrior when he's selling and he's just constantly shaking his head like something's wrong. Maybe it's just I'm numb to it now. I've seen too much of Warrior. I'm just not interested in it.
And what was your beef with Beefcake? Was it the fact that he once ignored you?
There's nothing good about him, yet he's treated like a star, and he's not a star.
See, I don't mind him in the ring. I don't mind him in the ring that much. I don't know why. I should hate him now, obviously, for what's happened. But
you know,
we will beg to differ there.
He's big leaguing you at shows. He shouldn't be.
Yeah. Match 2 is a crazy tag team, 400 men outside the ring tag match with Demolition, who are the tag champs, the Conquistadors, which is Jose Estrada Sr. and Jose Luis Rivera.
Do you remember when Edge and Christian did?
Yes, I remember that.
So that's where I remember them from.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I really enjoyed that as a kid.
They're a bit slimmer and had a bit less of an obvious bulge down below. I don't know if you noticed that in this match.
Maybe.
It was so tight that everything was virtually visible.
Just in general, these guys, they're men. You know, they're big guys. They're bulky.
They're men.
They're men. And now it's like.
I think you're reinforcing the gender binary there. I think we're at university. I don't think we're allowed to do that.
Okay, well, cut me off, and let's do some masculinity.
I don't really want to go into masculinity in the podcast. Maybe that could be an extra episode where we talk about masculinity in wrestling. Yeah. Get really deep about it. But for now, we'll just say that basically the Conquistadors are really fat and they have stupid bulges because they're so fat. We've also got the Brainbusters, that's Blanchard and Anderson, one half of the Four Horsemen, the Rougeaus and the Bolsheviks. And they're against the Powers of Pain, the British Bulldogs, the Hart Foundation, the Young Stallions and the Rockers. I think this is the first time the Rockers have been on pay-per-view, from what I can remember. What I noticed, first of all, was almost every heel team had a manager. The face teams do not. Not even Matilda is present for the Bulldogs as their little doggy mascot. Poor Matilda. And also, the Dynamite Kid has a moustache. Did you notice this?
Moustache.
It's terrible.
I'm a big Dynamite fan, but at this point, he's a little bit too bloated.
Yeah.
And that moustache just looks awful.
Because, as you'll hear about in the aftermath, both the Rougeaus and the... just the Bulldogs, I think, left the company because they'd had arguments with the Rougeaus.
Yeah, there's the famous sucker punch.
Yeah, and I think the Dynamite Kid has a moustache to try and hide his lack of teeth.
That's interesting.
That's an interesting theory.
True. Good spot.
Early on, no one is eliminated for ages, and the early going drags and drags. Eventually, the Rougeaus are eliminated, and I didn't think I'd say this, but by a slightly clunky small package by Bret Hart. At least someone has gone. There's no more room for the cameraman. There's more room, for the cameraman, rather than having to continually sneak through 20 performers who are on the outside of the ring. I mean, it just looked like an absolute mess.
Didn't look like a match, did it?
No, it looked
like a battle royale where half of them is hanging on.
Or a lumberjack match where your video game is glitched and everyone's on the ring apron. Shawn Michaels kicks out of a double A spinebuster. My God, this boy must have had potential. Marty Jannetty, though, is perhaps the most impressive of the two Rockers in this contest. Would you agree with me on that statement?
Yeah, there's not much between them, really, is there? It's like, you can't tell at this stage that Shawn's going to be a massive star and Jannetty's not.
The Demolition Sorry, I was just drinking some water there to quickly come back. The Demolition versus Powers of Pain feud gets a huge pop. Their Road Warrior-esque gimmicks carry them through despite their terrible wrestling ability. Are you a fan of either Demolition or the Powers of Pain?
Nope.
No, just no.
No, again,
is it the gimp mask?
It's the gimp mask. It's the face. The face paint doesn't get me. Right. None of it does. I'm more in this match. Bret, Dynamite, the Rockers.
Yeah.
There's some real talent there.
But if you had to choose between Demolition and the Powers of Pain, I think that's a pretty tough choice. That's a rock and a hard place, that is.
See, in my head, they almost merge together. Yeah. That's how almost similar they are.
I think I'm more of a Powers of Pain fan.
And why would that be?
They just better build, but obviously that was steroids. Like, there's no doubt about it. I think Warlord was one of the first to go in the steroid.
Warlord is a brick, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's massive.
The next elimination also takes an age, but eventually Jim Powers and the Young Stallions are eliminated after Boris Zhukov, despite his terrible physique, reverses a crossbody out of the corner. Marty Jannetty hits a sunset flip after being tagged in by his partner Shawn Michaels, and this gets rid of Zhukov and the Bolsheviks, thank goodness. I think this team is awful, especially Zhukov. They're just terrible. The crappy conquistadors with their bulges and their bad physiques refuse to be eliminated even after taking a beating. Blanchard versus Bret Hart is awesome. Bret Hart hits a German pinning combination, but Blanchard gets his shoulder up, and it's actually the Hart Foundation who are eliminated. Loved this spot. The kind of veteran Blanchard getting one over Bret Hart by getting the shoulder up.
Blanchard was brilliant in this match.
Yeah, really impressed. Ventura says the Hart pinned himself, which might be my commentary comment of the night. The Rockers and the Brainbusters are eliminated for brawling in the ring / making illegal tags. They continue to fight on the outside. Davey Boy Smith hits his infamous running fat power slam, but fails to pin one of the conquistadors, who gets the tag. They're still in this match. How?
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. Dynamite Kid misses a diving headbutt, and Smash hits a clothesline. The Bulldogs are gone. This serves both of them right for giving nonchalant covers earlier on in the match.
Yep, Jesse brings it up a few times, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Not many know that.
But sad to see our Brits eliminated
I know,
so early.
We're so used to that in big competitions.
Yeah, we are, including Survivor Series 88.
Yes.
I don't think you could equate that with many a failed World Cup, a soccer World Cup,
or a rugby World Cup, recently.
Yes. Of course, our American listeners won't have a clue what rugby is, although it's getting bigger over there apparently.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. They'll be good at it. They'll be well
maybe
for it.
there'll be a pro wrestling boom over here then, as some sort of weird.
We were just witness to.
We did.
That boom.
We went to ICW, and we could talk about that later on as we conclude.
After, just have a little chat.
We'll go off topic. Why not? Fuji initially, it seems, comes randomly to the apron, waiting to hit one of the Powers of Pain. He ends up opening the ropes for Smash to fall through, who is then counted out. Fuji's body slammed for his troubles after hitting a team member with a cane. The Powers of Pain help Fuji, and the face-to-heel transformation and vice versa is complete. Was this a pointless thing to happen because they're virtually the same teams?
That's exactly my thoughts. I found it confusing until they showed all the replays and he talked me through it slowly.
Yeah.
I found it so confusing.
I thought Fuji had just lost it initially.
Yeah. he had got confused himself.
In his old age. He's still alive, right, Fuji? It's amazing. I think he is. Fuji hooks one of the conquistadors' legs, and a diving headbutt by the Powers of Pain sees them become the sole survivors. Never did I think I'd cheer for the Powers of Pain, but in relation to the conquistadors, I couldn't have been happier to see them eliminated. I suppose this change possibly makes sense with the severity of the gimmicks, though. Demolition are more the childish, almost campy versions of the Powers of Pain, with the gimp masks and everything, and their terrible physiques. Definitely. This match lasted for 42 minutes. It was way too long for me, confused, and too much going on for the camera to see or even keep up. It was saved once again by the strong gimmicks and personalities on show, and also the strong technical displays by all the people you previously mentioned. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I'd probably give it a 2. I mean, if you cut this match in half, and you take half the people out, you've probably got a really damn good match.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad, really. Just wasted talent in just an absolute cluster.
Yeah, it was a total cluster.
And like you said, we're about an hour and 40 minutes into this show at this point. I haven't got time to just be watching these quick tag, nothing's happening.
And the other thing is, we've only just got to an interview as well. Which is incredible.
So we just had solid matches
for. I think we might have had a few adverts. I'm trying to remember now.
I don't think I did. On
SummerSlam, there was a ridiculous amount of adverts. Less here, so thank goodness. Adverts for boxing promotions as well. So I don't know whether Vince had a deal there. I'm taking over all the territories, the grapefruits. So we've finally got an interview. It's Sean Mooney backstage with Bad News Brown. He says he smelled a conspiracy at the Survival series. Botch of the night there, I think.
Know what he meant.
Yeah, it's only the second one. They're still getting used to the name. He was a survivor in Harlem and only cares to capture the WWF title. But how can he? He's pregnant. Jack Tunney.
He's Karma.
Yeah. Oh.
No, Karma was pregnant. That's why she.
Yeah, fair enough. She was pregnant. Yeah. But...
Oh no! I forgot what happened.
I'm sure she won't be here.
That's terrible. Sorry, my apologies.
That's dark. Jack Tunney is not.
My podcasting career is over.
It's done. You're 23 minutes in and it's over already. Jack Tunney is not answering Bad News Brown's calls. He says Randy Savage is a world champ with a skirt in his corner, in reference to Elizabeth, and that he doesn't need anyone. Mean Gene is with Mr. Fuji. Fuji says Demolition disrespected his discipline. I didn't realise the Barbarian was from Tonga initially, so I thought he was trying to reciprocate Fuji's accent.
Yes, I just wrote it down.
Have you written that down?
Why are they talking in an Asian accent?
But in fact, the Barbarian is from Tonga, so...
Okay, I'm glad you cleared that up, because I was like, really? Are you going to go there?
Yeah. It's 88, everything's allowed. The commentators look forward to the matches coming up later, and we then have an interview. Mean Gene has hot-footed it, or pre-recorded it, with Andre the Giant's team. Andre says his giant hands will be around Jake Roberts' neck. He demonstrates this on poor Mean Gene. Dino Bravo says America will be shown up by Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Rick Rude implores the fans to celebrate Turkey Day the ravishing way.
Oh, I like that.
Great line. Sean Mooney is with the Mega Powers. Coco B wears Parrot Frankie. Goes, I wonder what happened to Frankie. I wonder if he was neglected as well.
Just
after.
stuck in a cage.
Yeah, just
in St. Albans.
In St. Albans. Frankie goes a bit mad. Hogan steals a bit of Hercules' chains and destroys the rest of the promos, talking randomly about how a seance is going to occur tonight.
In both these interviews, there were two guys who were just sort of hidden away at the back. Like Dino Bravo in the first one is kind of like peering over shoulders.
A Canadian!
And they're like reaching the mic over to try and get to him. And then Hercules in this, you can barely see him. He's just kind of there, like shrouded, hidden away
getting dragged around by Hogan because Hogan stole like half of his chains. Who's the real, who's really putting the slave on you here, Hercules? It's Hogan, not $1 Million Man. So match 3, we have Jake the Snake Roberts and Hacksaw Jim Duggan as team captains. Scott Casey, who it was supposed to be the Junkyard Dog, who left. Then B. Brian Blair, who was the other Killer Bee, was supposed to be in this match, but left as well. So we're now left with this total nobody, who I'd never heard of before. I don't know if you'd heard of him at all.
No, I don't even think he makes it into my notes.
He's not even made it into the notes. We've also got Tito Santana and Ken Patera in his granny singlet here. And then Andre the Giant, Dino Bravo, Harley Race, Mr. Perfect, and I can't see in my notes who the other person is. Oh, it's Rude. It's Rick Rude is the other person. Of course, celebrate Turkey Day the ravishing way. How could I forget? Rick Rude has yellow tights on with hands near his crotch. Patera is eliminated early through the Rude Awakening neckbreaker, and I couldn't have been happier to see Ken Patera go. I think one of the worst stars of the 80s, and a criminal. So, well, I suppose they're all criminals.
What did he do?
I can't remember now. He threw a brick into a McDonald's, I think, or a rock, and then assaulted a police officer.
Oh, is this when he was like really hungry and they closed it?
Yeah.
I sympathise with him.
Olympic hero. Harley Race is in even worse shape than his previous appearances and is struggling to move.
I feel so sorry for him. He just doesn't look well.
He's just
Ric
large.
Flair every week on his podcast brings up the fact that Harley Race is...
What, is he not good now? Is he
not well at the
not
moment,
well?
No. He looks like Dale from Step Brothers. You ever seen that film?
No.
Okay.
I'm sure some people get that reference. I thought he said Del Boy then.
Oh, no.
Why does Harley Race only work? Casey is eliminated, thank goodness, by a side slam from Dino Bravo. I'm a big Bravo fan. I like him.
He was big money in Montreal.
Yeah.
He was a big star.
Was that supposed to be a reference to the fact he was killed by the mafia?
God, I'm having a shock.
You're having a shock. Or suspected to be killed by the mafia, who knows. Yeah. So that's 2 of the face team down already. Face policeman and all-round annoyingly nice guy, Tito Santana eliminates aging Race with a classic flying forearm. Andre the Giant sits on Santana, who is attempting a sunset flip, and eliminates him through a crushing pin. Already here, you can see Andre should not be anywhere near the ring.
I've written down, poor Andre just having to stand on the ropes for a small match. Just let him have a seat ringside for a bit.
Just give him a seat. Let him delegate. Frenchie Martin grabs Hacksaw Jim Duggan before he attempts the 3-point stance. Duggan is body slammed on the outside by Bravo. Responds with his classic 2x4 and is once again eliminated or involved in a DQ for I think probably about the third time in this series. Roberts pulls down Rick Rude's tights for a cheeky Mooney before a DDT. Rude is gone. I was expecting Rude to last to the end. I'm a big Rude fan, really big Rude fan. I think he's great. What are your thoughts on Rick Rude, especially in this period?
He's another one that just got away, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just one should have been a champ.
Such a Mr.
Nowadays
Perfect.
would be the biggest star in the company. Don't
Yeah,
you think?
easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Andre the Giant is DQ'd for a crazy repeated corner choke on Jake Roberts. Roberts has no strength left to fight the pin from Mr. Perfect, so Dino Bravo and Mr. Perfect are the survivors. They announce them as the Soul Survivors, but how can the Soul Survivors be a tandem? Logic.
Just make them fight each other, then you got a Soul Survivor.
Yeah, logic goes out the window. I would hope that, I don't know, between Bravo, I'd have to pick Perfect out, Bravo and Perfect. Roberts chases them away with Damien. Damien's just kind of like, no. This, for me, was similar to the other matches. Not much wrestling to get excited about, but character-wise, this is a great watch. Another 3 out of 5 from me.
I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, just your standard Survivor Series 80s match, really, wasn't it?
Fun.
You haven't got anything to add, but a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, yeah.
And I was impressed by Perfect and Rude, and I absolutely hated Patera and Casey.
Again, these guys who are prime for nowadays, you know, they got build, but they're also athletic.
Yeah.
Like Rude, Bulldog, I'm going to go back to Bulldog, Brett. Perfect was magnificent.
Yeah. Mean Gene is backstage with Akeem's team. We get various short and fairly incoherent heelish statements from each member of the team, and we're into match 4. Your main event of the evening. Actually, I was watching an old WCW pay-per-view the other day, and they had Michael Buffer doing the...
Didn't they, fly him in
they must
to
have
do
done
main events? And he was, paying him, millions.
Yeah, and he's really not that good, because he has to constantly look at his paper to know who the hell anyone is.
These people are,
Yeah, and he says, "Let's get ready to rumble," in reference to a Flair and Steamboat match.
It's just the WCW.
But it was a really good pay-per-view.
Which pay-per-view?
It was Spring Stampede 94.
Oh, yeah.
Flair and Steamboat was amazing. They wrestled for 40 minutes. And also Mick Foley they had I can't remember what, it was like a street fight tag match. Nasty Boys against Foley and Max Payne. I think it was Max Payne. I think that's his name. And Foley took some insane bumps, and the finish was Foley taking a shovel to the head.
What year is this?
94. It's really good for 94. Slight diversion there, but I would strongly suggest, because we are only covering WWF pay-per-views on here, that you go and watch on the network WCW Spring Stampede 94. Really good show. I came across it through WWE's top 15 pay-per-views on the network, which I've been going through.
The list?
Yeah,
wow.
It was really good. Match 4 then, before we digress any further, is Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Hercules, Hillbilly Jim, and Coco Beware, my god, those last two, versus Akeem, formerly the One Man Gang, Big Boss Man, King Haku, the Red Rooster, and Ted DiBiase. Right, the main crux of this whole podcast for me has to be, what the hell is Akeem's gimmick? What I've written down here, right? This is in my ranting style. Part Middle Eastern market stall salesman, part African king, part Z-list hip-hop player.
Yeah.
What did you...
See, I was hoping you could explain it to me. That's a pretty good explanation. I kind of just get brought back to Brodus Clay, that kind of... What is
Oh,
it?
it's way worse than Brodus.
You think it's...
Oh, it's...
Yeah?
At least he had Funky on a run.
Funky on a roll. That's only last year as well. You know, this... Funkasaurus, what is that? What is it? It's just
What's
a man pretending to be... Exactly. Who comes up with this stuff?
I get the Funkasaurus, because as a funk fan, there's a lot of mythology around funk where they would say stuff like, oh, the Funkasaurus is going up the mountain. Yeah, like that. That was an awful impression of funk music. Hogan gets his own entrance separate from his own team, and his ego is restored.
Macho Man's the champion. Why?
I think I know why. Because in the Mega Powers, I think it was the SummerSlam match. I think Hogan came out to Savage's music, out with him, and so he obviously wanted to get back on the real American. I noticed that Coco Beware's attire was blurred, and on his bum. And I looked this up, and I believe it's the WWF symbol. The network guys forgot. Obviously, it was okay to be there now. So, obviously, in DVD releases before they'd reached the agreement with those douchebags at the World Wildlife Fund.
Damn them for panda savers.
Damn them for saving animals and destroying our immoral, unethical fun. Rooster, the Red Rooster is unsurprisingly the first to go. He's eliminated by a savage elbow drop this early on. And Akeem's 747 splash, once again, is he an airplane attendant or something? Is this another thing? Do you imagine him on an airplane? God, 3 seats needed.
Oh, Boss Man. Imagine it's the Boss Man.
Akeem and Boss Man on the same.
The guy in front of Boss Man and the guys to the side of Boss Man and Big Trouble.
Yeah, God, there'd be so much sweat. It'd be horrible. And Akeem's 747 splash eliminates Hillbilly Jim. Where are we now? Big Boss Man eliminates Coco Beware with his weird side slam thing, which I quite like. There's a big pop for Hulk Hogan versus the Big Boss Man. Hogan is caught by a giant Boss Man spinebuster, but isn't eliminated. Ventura says that he doesn't like slave uprisings whenever Hercules appears. Goes well with his noble pilgrim narrative from earlier. God, Ventura says some bad things. Monsoon's fine. I don't think I've ever heard Monsoon say anything bad, but Ventura...
Jesse for president.
Jesse for president. Anything but Trump. Virgil grabs Hercules' shorts, the $1 Million Man knees him in the back and rolls him up for another elimination. The $1 Million Man is distracted though, so Savage pins him with a roll-up to get rid of him as well. Elizabeth is saved from Slick by Hogan, but he is ambushed and handcuffed by the Big Boss Man and Akeem. Big Boss Man is counted out for his troubles. He beats Hogan viciously with his nightstick. Akeem is DQ'd for pushing the ref or something, or the ref was racist towards Middle Easterns or Africans or African Americans, who knows. Whatever Akeem is supposed to be.
I'm lost.
I think I've seen promos of Akeem like... This might be a dream I had, I don't know, of Akeem like in the ghetto with like burning bins and stuff.
Yeah. And
he's like dancing around like, yeah, I'm Akeem, yeah.
So who's the guy that played Akeem?
I think it's the one-man gang.
So it's the one-man gang.
Yeah.
So how'd you go from one-man gang, just this...
Which
this
is a solid gimmick, despite how bad he is.
Yeah, in that time period, for sure, one-man gang. To Akeem.
What?
Just wake up one morning and just think,
I'm going to be
Akeem.
African. Yeah. Or, no, is he though? What is he?
Exactly.
Hogan nails Slick and Heenan. And Elizabeth frees Hogan after finding the keys to his handcuffs. Hogan gets a tag after Savage falls into him. Hogan hits the leg drop and King Haku is eliminated. King Haku's barely featured in this match, but is somehow the last man on that team. The Mega Powers are the sole survivors. We then get a great build-up at the end for the Mega Powers feud, with Hogan hugging and spinning Elizabeth around, and Savage looking on jealous and bemused. I gave this one 3.5 stars out of 5. I like that Hogan was handcuffed, even though it caused utter chaos in the end. I thought this was a well thought out build for the Rumble and Mania, where Hogan and Savage would clash further. What did you think?
I've got to agree. Again, I kind of just put off by these guys, these big guys with just soft looking moves. Like Hogan, this big boot that he does, where he kind of just...
I love the Hogan big boot.
He lifts his leg up and it just kind of dangles there for about 5 seconds. And then the guy kind of half runs into it. Doesn't look like it's quite connected, right? And then he has to awkwardly bring his leg back down.
I'm a big fan of the Hogan big boot. It's not as good as Nash's big boot. Nash for me is the king of the big boot.
Nash, those knees.
Dim leg. Oh no, that's the third controversial thing you've said.
Oh, what? The fact there's knees and quads.
Yeah, you're just destroyed.
Destroyer of podcasts.
Yeah, James Prestridge, destroyer of knees as well. Have you got a rating for this one?
Oh, I'd give it 2.5, 3.
Weren't massive on it?
It fitted into the show, you know. I'm these big tag team matches. I can't quite buy into them. When the stories were being told in the first match, that's when I was really into it. But as you come onto these later matches and it's just gimmicks and big wrestlers with not much wrestling, you know, that's when I get sort of lost interest a little bit.
So, to conclude, these were all fairly standard matchups, saved by strong character and storyline building, and blighted by confusion and long lengths, especially in the 42-minute 20-man tag team match. The opener in the main event probably edged it for me match-wise, but there was little to discern between each match. Despite the tag match being badly booked, I thought the MVPs for this whole show have to be the Rockers and Jannetty, if I'm going to be more specific. It's somewhat of a shame how his career was blighted by Michaels, even though Michaels did go on to become the guy later on. I could pick a plethora of people for worst, including Ken Patera again. That's got to be the second time, I think. Akeem and the Conquistadors. Overall, I gave this event 6 out of 10. It was distinctly average, but a competent watch. And I'm going to hand over now by doing even though people can't see, like a Triple H Shawn Michaels DX point.
Am I the Triple H of this podcast?
So,
I'd give it a 5.
Not a fan.
No. But I enjoyed this a lot more than I would say enjoy watching a Monday Night Raw.
Right.
At the moment.
Well, because they're actually characters.
There's actually characters. It's actually different. But my top performers again, the Rockers, the Harts, Owen and Brett. The Bulldogs, those guys.
Not Jim the Anvil.
Jim, I forgot about Jim in this whole show.
How are they related?
Are they?
Are they not related?
I have no clue.
Right. I thought they were.
I don't think they're blood related, are they?
I have no idea. We'd have to look that up.
Let's not go down that route.
Oh, Natalia! Cover up for knowledge. We know about Natalia and Tyson Kidd. We're good.
But yeah, and then worst performers. I'm gonna have to go with the guys that you've got. I mean. How could I have missed out Bad News?
Bad News. I love Bad News.
The guy, I think he'd be perfect now. Just some guy who would just come in.
He'd need a better physique.
Yeah. Just trying to think of the physiques at the moment. Just they're all. He'd be different. He'd be different.
I don't think Vince would buy him nowadays. No. I don't think he'd be interested.
Who does Vince buy nowadays? Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
Kind of
Oh God. What was your? Oh yeah, you already said a 5 out of 10. We'll go quickly to some aftermath then. So there were 13,500 people in attendance in the Richfield Coliseum. I was going to put pay-per-view buys down, but I've had sources anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 people, depending on what. There's some insane ratings for 80s. Yeah. Television, and then you slowly get to like 1994, and it's so funny how much they dip. So Demolition were now faces and the Powers of Pain were heels. This would lead to a 2 out of 3, 2-on-3 match, including Fuji at WrestleMania 5, which we will cover later on in the series. Jake Roberts and Andre the Giant feud continued into the Rumble and onto Mania. Honky Tonk Man continued to try and win the Intercontinental Belt, was demoted to the mid-card after one last match at Saturday night's main event. Rick Rude would begin feuding with the Ultimate Warrior, leading to a pose down at the Royal Rumble. This was the last appearance of the British Bulldogs for a while. Dynamite Kid would leave forever, and David Boy Smith would not come back until 1991, where he would solely be known as the British Bulldog. They left partly, as previously mentioned, due to altercations with the Rougeaus backstage. Jokes got out of hand, and Jacques ended up knocking Dynamite Kid's teeth out before Survivor Series, and as I said, that might explain his moustache. The Young Stallions hated each other, split, and became jobbers. Nice ending there. The Mega Powers problem continued as on January 7th on a Saturday night's main event, Hogan was beaten by Twin Towers after his match with Akeem. Savage cleared the ring, but Elizabeth left him to take Hogan backstage. Savage found himself third wheeling at points as Elizabeth became Hogan's manager. He confronted her about this, but Elizabeth just ended up taking Hogan backstage. There were more problems at the Royal Rumble, and that gives me a chance to give a very, very cheap plug for the next episode, which will be Rumble 89. Can't believe I've already made it to 89, even though I should probably have got further because I've been doing this for like 8 months now. So that is a wrap for today, guys. Thanks for listening in to this edition of the Wrestle Review podcast, looking back at Survivor Series 1988. Remember to like and subscribe if you're tuning in from YouTube, repost and share on SoundCloud, and please send your feedback to the email address wrestlereviewfans@gmail.com. Thanks to James for joining me. He might well become a regular feature while I'm at university if I let him.
You can't get rid of me.
No, I simply can't get rid of you and your terrible statements in reference. What was it? Karma, Dino Bravo. and Kevin Nash.
I'm gonna get some serious karma off these comments.
Oh god, you're gonna get some heat,
Zing.
some heat from the crowd. You're gonna get more heat than.
You're gonna be that email's gonna be packed with angry karma fans.
That email that never receives
Karma's
any emails.
angry manager.
You'll get more heat than Sasha Banks did when she.
She stole that kid.
Stole the kid.
Yeah,
forgotten her name. Forgotten the kid's name.
Let's not.
Let's not bother. Thanks for joining me, and although you are a West Brom fan, you're certainly more interesting than your average Midlander.
Not sure about that one.
That was awful. Don't forget to listen into the other awesome shows on the Piledriver /OSW podcast network. Join us next time for the first Royal Rumble on pay-per-view and the first 30-man Royal Rumble match. Once again, thanks to James for coming.
No, thanks,
hope to see you then for the Royal Rumble, guys. Catch you in a bit, wrestling fans. Bye-bye.